All right, here we are, slope, section 4.2, part 2. You should have watched the slope dude video, and you should be familiar with what is going on with that. And based on that, you should be able to just look at this line and tell me what the slope is. However, you're not always given a graph, so we need to think about another way that we may do this. So, we're going to focus more today on the change in y and the change in x and in using this formula. So this is said y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And that is going to refer to any points that are in the xy format. So again, you should know what the slope of this line is from Slope Dude, okay? But let's practice using this formula. So we're going to pick one of these points. I usually pick the one on the left as point 1. So label this x sub 1 and y sub 1, and label this one x sub 2 and y sub 2. And then we're going to write the formula and use it. The more you write a formula, the sooner it will just get stuck in your head, and then you'll have it. So if you will write this formula every time you use it for a few days here, you'll be good to go with it. It'll become second nature. So y sub 2 is 5 minus y sub 1 over here is also 5. So 5 minus 5 is our numerator over x sub 2 is 6 minus negative 1. So be careful here. I'm going to write both the minus and the negative. So 5 minus 5 on top is 0. 6 minus negative 1. Minus a negative is like a plus, so that's 7. So that slope is just equal to 0. This is 0 fun. So, you can divide 0 by anything. You can divide it by 10, you still get 0. If you have nothing, you divide it into piles, you have nothing in the piles. Okay, so let's move on to this next one. And again, you should, excuse me, you should be able to know what the slope of this line is just by looking at it from watching Slope Dude. But again, let's practice using that formula. So let's call this x sub 1 and this one y sub 1. This is x sub 2, this is y sub 2. Let's write the formula. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Fill in the values. This asks for y2. Go over here, find y2. It is 2 minus y1 up here is 6. x2 down here is 4. x1 up here is also 4. 2 minus 6 in the numerator is negative 4. 4 minus 4 in the denominator is 0. So you cannot divide by 0. So think about if you had a pile of apples. So if you had a pile of apples, could you divide it into 3 piles? Yes. Maybe not evenly, but you could. Could you divide it into 2 piles? Yes. Can you divide a pile of apples into 0 piles? That makes no sense. So that is a problem. You cannot divide by 0. That makes it undefined. Undefined, like Slope Dude. So, and then if you'll ask tomorrow for a funny way to remember that, we'll give you another way of remembering the difference in having the 0 in the numerator, like up here, and that being 0, or the 0 in the denominator. So these should be on your own. Let's at least get this first one started with you. First thing I would suggest you do, or that you really should do, so do it, is label these. X sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Write down the formula. Again, if you write it down a few times in these coming days, it will be stuck with you. So you will be using it throughout the year and in years to come. So y sub 2 is 6 minus y sub 1 is negative 2. Be careful. The formula always has a minus in it, and then if this second number is negative, you have minus and negative. So keep going with that. Go ahead and do 5, 6, and 7. If you come up with any zeros or undefineds, make sure to refer to up here, although some of them will come out maybe 2/3, or this one's going to come out, 8 in the numerator and something in the denominator. So often you will actually get a slope, but in the examples we've done so far, we've either gotten 0 or undefined. So either pause now and do those, or come back and do them later. Either way, make sure you do them. When you're ready, go ahead and turn to the next page. I want to talk about a third way of finding slope. So we've already found slope from graphing and done our slope triangles and counted the rise and the run. We just learned how to find it from 2 different points using that equation. A third way is just looking at a table and finding the delta y and the delta x. So delta y means change in y. Delta x means change in x. So we want to look at our table. From here to here, you should draw these little arrows. We are increasing by 3. Here to here, increasing by 3, and here to here, again, increasing by 3. So that's a constant change in the x. We need to look at the y's as well. We are decreasing by 2, decreasing by 2, and decreasing by 2. So since there is a constant change in both the x's and the y's, or more importantly, the ratio of the change in y to the change in x remains constant, this will be a line, and therefore we can find its slope. So then write m equals delta y over delta x. Delta y is -2, delta x is a positive 3, so that is your slope. So this slope would be -2/3. Nice negative. Okay, you are going to repeat that same concept for both numbers 9 and 10. So we'll expect to see your swoops going across with your differences, delta y over delta x. Find those two. And then lastly, and this part won't take you long at all, what would Slope Dude say for each of these? If needed, you can go back and watch it again. And then there's another video that you might want to take a look at. So, and that is on the Weebly right underneath the Slope Dude video. So go ahead and watch it. It'll have you singing that and get stuck in your head, which you may not like. That's a good thing. So that is the end of that for today.